Joining us now, Republican Congressman Morgan Griffith from House Energy and Commerce. Hey, sir, we're so grateful you came on the show. Tell us more about what you and the other Republicans on your committee want from the Livermore Government Laboratory after it had that May 2020 report that, yeah, the Wuhan lab leak theory does look plausible and deserves further investigation. What are you guys going to ask them?
Well, we want to get all the information we possibly can get as to what they know and why they felt like that was plausible. I think it's plausible too, but I want to know what they think. They've got a lot of sources that we don't have. We're the committee and the subcommittee charged with doing these oversight examinations on behalf of the American people. The NIH needs to answer questions, CDC, et cetera, and we need to make sure that we're getting the answers for the American people.
You know, the media and Dr. Fauci fiercely downplayed this theory last year. To what extent did they take this seriously?
Well, I think a lot of people were not taking it seriously early on, but there have always been two plausible theories, whether it was something from animals or whether it was something that happened in the lab. But more and more evidence as things keep coming up make it look like it's probably the lab, but we don't know. We want all the answers, and so we can sort it out. But I will point out that there's a WHO report out there that the Chinese tested 80,000 different animals, wild and domestic, and found no evidence of the virus being there. So where did it come from? And the answer may very well be from the lab.
Yeah, the Livermore Intelligence Unit examined the genomic sequence of the SARS-CoV-2 virus and then put out that report that, yeah, you got to look at the evidence of a potential lab accident. 3 workers at the Wuhan lab hospitalized with COVID-like symptoms in November 2019. But, you know, Vanity Fair has mentioned this, too, in their story, that there's a gain-of-function bureaucracy inside the government that is stonewalling look-sees and probes into this. And former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State David Feith, he's saying, you know, he's basically investigated the lab leak. He's saying this is the story. Why are parts of the U.S. government not as curious as they should be? This is a hugely important event. This is the Chernobyl of pandemics. So have you hearing about this government gain-of-function bureaucracy? And is Dr. Fauci part of it? Is EcoHealth Alliance Director Dr. Peter Daszak part of it?
Well, it certainly looks like that there's some group out there that's stonewalling us. We're just trying to get the information so that we can answer questions for the American public. That's our job. And we're getting stonewalled. And I have been very disappointed, particularly in Peter Daszak at EcoHealth. I think that they need to come up with information. We need to see their documents and know exactly what they were doing. But we also need to know everything that the various agencies of the United States knows. And if there is some group that's trying to block it, then shame on them. But we've got to find the answers, and we will eventually get those answers one way or another. And I know that Dr. Fauci and others want us to investigate, but we need to get all the information. We need to get it as soon as possible.
You know, the gain-of-function research is dangerous stuff. We're going to talk in the next block with Dr. Ben Carson about how this was even talking about making Ebola airborne. The U.S. media, we know that Dr. Fauci downplayed it last year. He's trying to get vaccines. We understand the humanitarian intent of Dr. Fauci, but he's been inconsistent, critics saying, what he's been saying. So, and also the media has not stepped up on their job either. Let's watch the media and what they were saying about the Wuhan lab leak theory. Watch this.
This question about the Wuhan lab, we know that it's been debunked that this virus was man-made or modified or anything like that.
Agencies now have been tapped with investigating one of Trump world's most favorite conspiracy theories.
So why is it politically charged? Because Trumpers who were complicit in playing down the pandemic reality in America are now seeing more interest in the China lab theory as some kind of vindication, enough to play I told you so with Fauci.
Okay, this is clearly politicizing a pandemic. The media is keeping their viewers in the dark, trying to say, quote, like Chris Cuomo just said, that Trumpers are pushing this. Well, Trumpers, you know, we haven't seen that. We know that they've been upset about the lockdowns, but this is the media politicizing this. But, you know, sit tight, because I want you to see now the media trying to blame Trump for the media not doing its job in investigating the lab leak theory. Watch this.
under the Trump administration, every single day, as you rightly described, we were dealing with the circus.
For many in the scientific community, there was almost a kind of allergic reaction to the suggestion of a lab leak because it sounded more like something that Donald Trump was trying to deploy as a political deflection to take attention off his own administration.
Clearly, CNN and MSNBC viewers are being misled. They're keeping their viewers in the dark by continuing to politicize this. And Chris Cuomo continues to say this is a, quote, waste of energy. What do you say?
Well, this is not a waste of energy, and it's absolutely appalling that any media sources would say that. The evidence looks more and more like a lab, but there's still, the possibility of it being something from an animal. But I would say to those folks, show us what evidence you have, because there's a lot of evidence starting to build up that this was some kind of a lab accident. That doesn't mean the Chinese did it on purpose, but I think that we need to get all the answers for the American people, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, politicizing a pandemic when millions around the world are dead, and 600,000 Americans are dead, critics might say that that is irrational, illogical, and shameful. Congressman Griffith, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Coming up, the president of Ukraine says President Biden